Ladies and gentlemen, folks and friends, welcome to Ranking Mario Kart Double Dash Courses. There's a lot of delightful tracks to check out, so let's not waste another second and dive right into it. Luigi's Circuit makes for a pretty interesting first course in the game. I like the addition of the chain chomp off to the side. It's not a massive obstacle, but it's there. It can give you some trouble if you drive a little too close. The Luigi's Mansion in the background is also pretty cool. Big fan of that. It gets pretty chaotic being able to go on both sides of the track like that. Cool. Additionally, it has very upbeat, happy music. Really gets you into the flow of the race. You can take the corners extra wide to get some speed boosts in, or deliver your own boosts. Certainly no complaints. A firm, we'll call it 7 out of 10. Oh, now Peach Beach. This level has some delightful Super Mario Sunshine energy to it, which I believe is the only track in the game to deliver that, but it does so with style. Come down to the beach area here and you got your Cataquacks roaming around, which if you hit them they can bounce you up, but we're gonna keep our distance from those chaps. Classic Mario Kart tradition to have the tide coming in and out to affect your speed. And we come up here on the home stretch to a very delightful Pianta statue. What's more to say, folks, is a delightful 8 out of 10. Baby Park is one of those you love it or you hate it kind of levels. Very simple, most basic track in all the series. It can get pretty outrageous when you get to the final laps, but I'll give it a, let's be generous, 6 out of 10. Dry Desert might just look like a regular sand stage on the surface, but it's got a lot going on. There's plenty of pokies, that's for sure. And make for a pretty interesting race. Like those ruins you can bounce off of. I think the stage definitely benefits... Oh, there's twisters. That is quite the obstacle. And this sand pit here, very iconic. Oh. Down we go. See now, I think for this field area, the game benefits greatly from having Mario Kart 7's water mechanics, but generally speaking, with all things considered, give this about a 7 out of 10. Mushroom Bridge has an interesting atmosphere to it. Brings back the Toad's Turnpike style of automobiles racing down the roads. It's got some good shortcuts you can take if you got the mushrooms for it, which almost was able to knock some out over there. We got bomb vehicles to make things a little more explosive, bombastic, if you will. A nice tunnel to break up the atmosphere, very good. And of course, the bridge with these speed boosters, which are hard to stay on track, but very cool. Overall, I would give this track, we'll call it a 7 out of 10. Mario Circuit doesn't do anything too different from your standard fare, but despite being a little mundane, it does have some things that make it exciting. Mario's name up on the hill, a little narcissistic, but we'll accept it. This here chain chomp going up this rotating area here. Of course, to break things up, we got a tunnel up ahead. Very short, but does the job. We have some piranha plants onto the side, a nice little addition. And of course, no Mario Circuit's complete without a little bit of Princess Peach's castle somewhere in the scene, and there you have it. With a bunch of Goombas and some sand bumps to navigate. The blue shell poles are an interesting touch. No, not too bad. Still, we call this a 5 out of 10. Now, Daisy Cruiser is one of the more unique set pieces in the game, and does some interesting things with its layout. Oh, it is much better in the newer installments when you can go through that pool. A lot of the newer iterations of this stage really enhance the gameplay of it, but in the original form, it's still pretty delightful. This dining room is pretty iconic, having the tables swerve around. And you can come down below the ship here, and up through the tube. Launches you out, pretty solid. And we have some of these buoys that bounce around on. Overall, you know what? I'll call this one a 9 out of 10. Now, Waluigi Stadium is what I think Wario Stadium was trying to be in Mario Kart 64. Excellent atmosphere, bombastic music, good terrain obstacles to worry about. The audience obscured just enough to look like there's a massive crowd out there. This particular room is a notable highlight. And piranha plants coming out the sides like that, and the fire bars. Staple of these kinds of stages now. Got some good jumps here that you can't take advantage of in this game quite like you can in future iterations, but still cool. They still make that final jump exciting. And with that, 10 out of 10. Now, I think Sherbet Land is a pretty cool ice stage. Granted, it gets much better in future iterations because you can actually go down there. But despite that, you still have a nifty atmosphere with the Shy Guys skating around, wind blowing here in the ice cave. Got a nice chilled out track to it as well, which I appreciate. Got some good turns going on in this area here. And then back onto the icy lake with the freezies all about. They make for some pretty delightful obstacles, if you ask me. So, yeah, I think I can call this stage, 8 out of 10. Mushroom City is a stage that definitely deserves to see more love. The atmosphere here is off the charts. So a lot going on once you get to the main center point here. You got some options of where to go. You come into this middle section here for a nice shortcut, which is very neat. I like the very sharp turns that you have to take in this stage to get around. And it all funnels back into this area where you merge back into the main highway. Very slick. And then having to deal with the traffic as you jump back in makes it pretty dynamic. So overall, I've gotta say, this is a 10 out of 10 material right here. Yoshi's Circuit is a unique design that I think I've seen way too much of thanks to Mario Kart Tour, but we won't let that cloud our judgment here. It's got some good turns. The natural flow of a Yoshi's body makes for an excellent variety of challenge. Has that upbeat kind of music you come to expect from a Double Dash track. If you know your Yoshi anatomy, you can really get a good read on where you are on the track without having to look at the map. Spikes back here make for some good swerving around. And coming down through the back here. The Yoshi's plane transformation being in this stage is also a very amazing nod to Yoshi's Island that you gotta appreciate. You come with some piranha plants at the end, so you know what? Overall, 7 out of 10. DK Mountain is an absolute highlight of Mario Kart Double Dash, if you ask me. Kicks off in its delightful fashion, rolling up the hill here and launching out of this cannon. One of the most iconic shots in the game, in the series even. Really leaning on its Donkey Kong Country heritage. Then racing down this volcano section. Very high-octane action, you gotta say. Some good jumps along the way. A bunch of bumps in the terrain. The boulders certainly make things nerve-wracking. Tight turns you gotta anticipate in advance to clear safely. The big chasms mixed in there to really put the pedal to the metal. And of course this bridge. Everything about this stage, just 10 out of 10. Well, Wario Coliseum really knows how to up the ante in the final home stretch of this game. Got some awesome jumps. Spinning fire to really give it some edge. You got the anticipation building. The energy of the stage is just very, very visceral. But of course, you come in here for the jump and then go down the spiraling descent. Selective guardrails here on slanted terrain, which makes for some risky maneuvering. What I really appreciate with this stage is the amount of depth it seems to have in terms of the verticality. You can look around at different parts of the stage and see what's coming down the road. And here, instead of going left or right, you can just take the jump in the middle, try your luck for an item. Then come through this little underpass here before making it for the home stretch. All that said, I'm going to have to give this one a nice firm 9 out of 10. Dino Dino Jungle is one of those stages that has a deceptive amount of variety to its layout. You start off with your traditional jungle terrain, then come here and have to dodge the steps of a giant dinosaur. Very unique stuff. Then you head on through this little bit of a twist and turn onto the docks. We've got some different options on how you want to proceed through it. And when you come through here, jump into the cave. Same deal over here, where you have this jump that you definitely need speed to take, which I did not have. But we'll have to take the more scenic route here with the geysers. Come over here, see that familiar dinosaur by the bridge? Very good. And take one final turn with one last gauntlet of geysers to get by for the home stretch. Overall, it's a solid stage. 8 out of 10. Bowser's Castle here, kicking off with the familiar Bowser face doorway. Heading into an area with some thwomps. Getting a little bit of agency there between the two different routes that are basically the same. Come down a hallway here into this fire room with some lava balls dropping down. Pretty adequate obstacle, if I do say so myself. Certainly tripped me up. Navigate through this firebar room and start making your way higher into the castle. It's got some good ominous music going on. Certainly get behind that. And you head into here, which is probably the finest room in the stage, with the Bowser statue heading back and forth, launching fireballs to manipulate your course. It's certainly become less threatening on the way out. Get one final jump and then start making the corner to get to the beginning again. Overall, 8 out of 10. Now, Rainbow Road certainly has a very delightful atmosphere to it. Placing the stage above a cityscape like this, an excellent call. And you can look up ahead, you can see some nice vertical variety going on there. Despite the lack of tricks you can do here, the speed manages to be satisfying. Especially here in this turn, a very tough one to make. And you have this nice winding path, the promise of a sky tunnel up ahead. And by the time you make that turn, you arrive here, you blast up. And let me tell you folks, it delivers on the thrills. And right back to boosting up a storm. Well, the lack of guardrails really ups the challenge here. And hit that jump. Make a nice winding turn to the finish line. Not too shabby, folks. We're gonna call that one a 9 out of 10. Well, folks, that's a wrap on our Double Dash rankings. I'm willing to wager you might have some opinions to share in the comments, but let me just tell you, I'm ready to double down on my selections.